So if you want to change the world, start off by making your bed during SEAL training. The students there in training, the students are all broken down in the boat. Crews. Each crew is 7 students, 3 on each side of a small rubber boat and 1 cox to help guide the dinghy. Every day your boat crew forms up on the beach and is instructed to get through the surf zone and paddle several miles down the coast in the winter. The surf of San Diego can get to be 8 to 10 feet high and it is exceedingly difficult to paddle through the plunging surf. Unless everyone digs in, every paddle must be synchronized to the stroke count of the coxswain. Everyone must exert equal effort or the boat will turn against the wave, even be unceremoniously dumped back on the beach for the boat to make it to his destination. Everyone must paddle. You can't change the world alone. You will need some help, and to truly get from your starting point to your destination takes friends, colleagues, the goodwill of strangers and a strong consonant to guide you. If you want to change the world, find someone to help you paddle over a few weeks of difficult training. My SEAL class, which started with 150 men, was down to just 42. There are now 6 boat crews of 7 men. Each I was in the boat with the tall guys, but the best bone crew we had was made up of the low guys. The Munchkin crew, we called him. No one was over 5'5" at 1 American India, 1 African American, 1 Polish American, 1 Greek American, 1 Italian American, and 2 tough kids from the Midwest. They paddled, outrun and outswam all the other boat crews. The big man and the other boat crews what always make good-natured fun of the tiny little flippers the Munchkins put on their tiny little feet prior to every swim. But somehow these little guys from every corner of the nation in the world always have the last laugh, showing faster than everyone in reaching the shore long before the rest of us. Still, training was a great equalizer. Nothing mattered but your will to succeed, not your color, not your ethnic background, not your education, not your social status. If you want to change the world, measure a person by the size of their heart, not by the size of their flippers. Several times a week, the instructors would line up the class and do a uniform inspection. It was exceptionally thorough. Your hat had to be perfectly starched, your uniform immaculately pressed, your belt buckle shiny and void of any smudges. But it seemed that no matter how much effort you put into starching your hat or pressing your uniform or polishing your belt buckle, it just wasn't good enough. The instructors would find something wrong for failing uniform inspection. The student had to run fully clothed into the surf, short, bend, wet from head to toe, roll around on the beach until every part of your body was covered with sand. The effect was known as sugar cookie. You were staying in the uniform the rest of the day, cold, wet and sanding. There are many a student who just couldn't accept the fact, but all their efforts were in vain. No matter how hard they tried to get the uniform right, it went unappreciated. Those students didn't make it through training. Those students didn't understand the purpose of the drill. You were never going to succeed. You were never gonna have a perfect uniform. The instructors weren't going to allow it. Sometimes, no matter how well you prepare or how well you perform, you'll still end up as a sugar cookie. It's just the way life is. Sometimes, if you want to change the world, get over being a sugar cookie and keep moving forward every day. During training, you're challenged with multiple physical events, long runs, long swims, obstacle courses, hours of calisthenics, something designed to test your mettle. Every event had standards, times you had to meet. If you failed to meet those times, those standards, your name was posted on a list, and at the end of the day, those on the list more invited to a circus. A circus was 2 hours of additional calisthenics designed to wear you down, to break your spirit, to force you to quit. No one wanted a circus for that day. You didn't measure up. A circus spent more fatigue, and more fatigue meant that the following day would be more difficult, and more circuses were likely. But sometime during SEAL training, everyone made the circus last. But an interesting thing happened to those who were constantly on the list over time. Those students who did 2 hours of extra calisthenics got stronger and stronger. Pain of the circus is built inner strength and physical resiliency. Life is filled with circuses. You will fail. You will likely fail often. It will be painful. It will be discouraging at times. It will test you to your very core. But if you want to change the world, don't be afraid of the circuses. At least twice a week, the trainees were required to run the obstacle course. The obstacle course Contain 25 obstacles including the 10-foot wall. I'm 30-foot cargo net, a barbed wire, crawl to name a few, but the most challenging obstacle was a slide for life. It had a 3-level 30-foot tower at one end and a 1-level tower at the other. In between was a 200-foot long rope. You had to climb the 3-tier tower, and once at the top, you grabbed the rope, swung underneath the rope and pulled yourself hand over hand until you got to the other end, the record for the obstacle course had stood for years. When my class began in 1977, the record seemed unbeatable until one day, a student decided to go down the slide for life at first. Instead of swinging his body underneath the rope and itching his way down, he bravely mounted at the top of the rope and thrust himself forward. He was a dangerous move, seemingly foolish and fraught with risk. Failure could mean injury and being dropped from the course. Without hesitation, the student slid down the road perilously fast. Instead of several minutes, it only took him half the time. And by the end of the course, broken the record. If you want to change the world, sometimes you have to slide down the obstacles head first. During the land warfare phase of training, the students are flown out to San Clemente Island, which lies off the coast of San Diego. The waters of San Clemente are breeding ground for the great white sharks to pass SEAL training. There are a series of long swims that must be completed. One is the night swim. Before the swim, the instructors joyfully brief the students on all the species of sharks that inhabit the water is off San Clemente, they assure you, however, but no student has ever been eaten by a shark, at least not to take and remember. But you were also taught none of a shark begins to circle your position. Stay in your ground. Do not swim away. Do not act afraid, and it's a shark hungry for a midnight snack. Darts towards you, then summons up all your strength. Punch him in the snout, will turn and swim away. There are a lot of sharks in the world. If you hope to complete the swim, you will have to deal with them. So if you want to change the world, go back down from the sharks. As Navy SEALs, one of our jobs to conduct underwater attacks against enemy shipping. We practice this techniques extensively during training. Ship attack mission is where a pair of SEAL divers has dropped off outside an enemy harbor and then swims well over 2 miles underwater using nothing but a compass to get to the target during the entire swim, even well below the surface. There is some light that comes through. In his comforting to know that there is open water above you. But as you approach the ship, which is tied to a pier, the light begins to fade. The steel structure of the ship blocks the moonlight. It blocks the surrounding street lamps. It blocks all ambient light. To be successful in your mission, you have to swim under the ship and find the keel, the center line and the deepest part of the ship. This is your objective, but the keel is also the darkest part of the ship, where you cannot see your hand in front of your face, for the noise from the ship's machinery is deafening, and where it gets be easily disoriented and you can fail. Every SEAL knows then out of the keel at that darkest moment of the mission is the time when you need to be calm. When you must be calm, when you must be composed, when all your tactical skills, your physical power and your inner strength must be brought to bear. If you want to change the world, you must be your very best in the darkest moments. The 9th week training is referred to as Hell Week. It is 6 days of no sleep, constant physical and mental harassment, and one special day at the Mud Flats. The Mud Flats are an area between San Diego and Tijuana, where the rainwater runs off and creates the Tijuana Sloughs, the swampy patch of terrain where the mud will engulf you. It is on Wednesday of Hell Week that you paddle down in the mud flats and spend the next 15 hours trying to survive this freezing cold, the howling wind and the incessant pressure to quit from the instructors. As the sun began to set that Wednesday evening, my training class, having committed some egregious infraction of the rules, was ordered into the mud. The mud consumed each man till there was nothing visible but our heads. The instructors told us, we can leave them out. If only 5 men would quit, only 5 men, just 5 men, and we could get out of the oppressive cold. Looking around the mud flat, it was apparent that some students were about to give up. It was still over 8 hours till the sun came up. 8 more hours. A bone-chilling cold, a chattering teeth and the shivering moans of the trainees were so loud, it was hard to hear anything. And then one voice began to echo through the night. One voice raised in song. The song was terribly out of tune, but sung with great enthusiasm. One voice became two and two became three, and before long, everyone in the class was singing. The instructors threatened us with more time in the mud if we kept up the singing. But the singing persisted. The mud seemed a little warmer and the wind a little tamer. And the dawn not so far away. If I have learned anything in my time traveling the world, it is the power of hope, power of one person from Washington, Lincoln, King Mandela, and even a young girl from Pakistan, Malala. One person can change the world by giving people hope. So if you want to change the world, start singing when you are up to your neck in mud. Finally, a SEAL training, there is a bell, a brass bell that hangs in the center of the compound for all the students to see. All you have to do is quit. All you have to do to quit is ring the bell, ring the bell. And you no longer have to wake up at 5 o'clock, ring the bell, and you no longer have to be in the freezing cold swims, ring the bell. And you no longer have to do the runs, the obstacle course, the PT, and you no longer have to endure the hardships of training. All you have to do is ring the bell to get out. If you want to change the world, don't ever ring the bell. To the class of 2014, you're moments away from graduating, moments away from beginning your journey through life, moments away from starting to change the world for the better. It will not be easy, but you are the class of 2014. The classic can affect the lives of 800 million people in the next century. Start each day with a task completed. Find someone to help you through life. Respect everyone. Know that life is not fair and that you will fail often. But if you take some risks, step up on the times, are the toughest, face down the bullies, lift up the downtrodden, and never ever give up. If you do these things, the next generation and the generations that follow will live in a world far better than the one we have today, and what started here will indeed have changed the world for the better. Thank you very much.